Hey, everybody, I had to jump on and talk about a very special album, the anniversary of a special album that I grew up listening to as a kid. It is the 36th anniversary of Debbie Gibson's Out of the Blue album. This was her debut album in 1987, and it spawned four top 10 hits, including the number one Foolish Beat, which made Debbie the youngest female to write, arrange, produce, perform a number one single. It's a record she still holds today. This is the perfect pop record. I discovered Debbie when I think I was about in sixth grade. Only in My Dreams was on the radio all the time, followed by her second single, Shake Your Love. And it was at that time that I got my parents to buy me the Out of the Blue cassette tape. And if you remember, those of us who are old enough to remember, when you played a cassette tape too many times, it started getting worn down, kind of warped. I know I went through a couple of Out of the Blue tapes because I listened to that album so much. I still have my Debbie Gibson tapes in my old bedroom at my mom's house in San Antonio, in the closet, in my cassette carrier. So I need to go dig those up and share those. But this album really meant a lot to me growing up. I loved the music. Debbie has always produced, she's arranged, she's written, she's played on her records. And you have to respect that, especially at that time, at that age, to be able to have that kind of creative control at such a young age in the late 80s, which was not easy for a young female performer. Today, young female performers are celebrated, like your Billie Eilishes, your Taylor Swifts. But back then, they didn't get the same kind of credit that they do today. An album that had four top 10 hits, including a number one, that was not nominated for a Grammy, not even like a debut, like Best New Artist. At that time, teen artists, especially women, were not taken as seriously, or at least by the music industry, not looked at as the talent that they were. So I'm glad that that has changed, but it doesn't take away from the fact that Debbie is an amazing artist. She doesn't need awards to be great. Out of the Blue is the perfect pop record if you're looking for one. My favorite songs on the album are Between the Lines and Red Hot. I absolutely love those two songs. And today, Debbie is still touring. She's recording. She's an indie artist now. But as I look back at her earlier records, she always had the spirit of an independent artist. She was producing, she was arranging, she was writing, she was performing on her records at a young age in the late 80s when, that wasn't really heard of, right? I mean, we hear about it all the time today with the young, talented artists, again, like Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift, but you didn't hear a lot about that back then. And so she really did carve a path for a lot of the artists that are out today, a lot of the young female artists especially. So I have to say that I'm a Diamond Debhead. I'm so excited to be sharing this anniversary with all of the other Debheads. It's just so fun to share music, to share our love for music. I'm not as active as the other Debheads are on social media. I have my show channel, The Marino Show, and then my personal channels. I don't share a ton of my personal channels. I'm always putting stuff on my Marino Show channel, which is a show that actually airs on Austin Music Television here in Austin, public access. And I interview a lot of horror actors, a lot of horror related content because I love scary movies. But when I can, I always mention Deb. And this is one of those days where it's perfect to mention the 36th anniversary of this album. And you can see it's signed. I've had the pleasure of meeting Debbie a few times at several of her concerts. I'm going to another concert in December, her Winterlicious tour, and I actually have a seat on the stage, VIP. I'm so excited. Cannot wait to be there. And yeah, if you're looking for an artist that's a true indie artist, she's one. Her new album, The Body Remembers, it kind of takes me back to Out of the Blue, where it all started, because it's sort of a companion piece, but all this time later, it's like Debbie, the teenager, and then The Body Remembers is Debbie today. But these albums this album and that album have a similar sort of feel to me. And, even thinking about it now, back to that time, Debbie was always had the spirit of an independent artist. She produced, she arranged, she played her instruments, she, you know, wrote her music, all of it from the very early days, and had creative control over those first couple of albums, all of her albums actually, but even the earliest days, Out of the Blue, Electric Youth, Anything is Possible. She was in charge and she was making the decisions, and on a major record label. Think about that. A teenage girl in the late 80s having that kind of creative control on a major record label. So I give her credit for that. I share this with all the fans that we can celebrate this 36th anniversary of one of the greatest pop records to ever come out, in my opinion. And if you do not know who Debbie Gibson is, go look her up. Her music is streaming on iTunes, anywhere that you stream music, Spotify. Look up Out of the Blue, Electric Youth, Anything is Possible, Body, Mind, Soul, Think with Your Heart. She has a Broadway album, Colored Lights, MYOB, Deborah. Can't forget Deborah. Deborah is a really good album, and Think with Your Heart they're all great, but Think with Your Heart and Deborah are my two favorite albums, aside from Out of the Blue. And then she has her new album, The Body Remembers. So go look her up if you haven't heard of her. You're looking for an indie artist that really is truly, creative and is just doing it for the love of the music, not chasing trends, who just really loves what she does. Go find her music. You'll love it. Bye.